All right, yes, forecast. So currently what we are seeing on the dollar is again, well, currently the idea is still the same. We haven't really moved. So the forecast that we had yesterday on the dollar still applies right here. The only thing is again, that I want to give out a little warning that usually going into the Christmas week, so the last few weeks of December as well, are generally speaking the worst. So they are, if December before that was already bad, then the last 2 weeks of December are even worse. So keep that in mind as well. That is again from my experience. We'll see how the price is actually, of course, but that is from my experience. That is the probabilities just playing out. Now, right here, if we do want to continue lower, then I'm still expecting Tuesday potentially a little bit more volatile than we had on Monday. Monday was truly one of the least volatile days we have seen in a while. Which, when is the last day we actually saw a day like that? I'm quite interested in that actually. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. It's the least volatile day we have seen in months and months and months from what I'm seeing right now. But right there, what we can expect for Tuesday is again, less volatility overall because it is December. Overall, again, I want to see potentially lower prices on a Wednesday. So Wednesday, I really want to see the volatility coming into the market. Tuesday, not just yet. We have orange news for the US dollar, but red news is going to be where the volatility actually is. So if it wants to continue lower or wants to continue higher even, then that Wednesday is where the magic will likely happen. All right, so if we take a look with taking that into account, if we take a look at ES right here. ES is still the same, and I'm going to mainly go over NASDAQ. And the reason for that is because NASDAQ right here, we talked about this weekly Verwijl gap right there. Meaning that we could potentially create the high of the week right there if the dollar also wants to continue higher right now. Meaning as well that on the NASDAQ right here, we can look to potentially trade towards the daily Verwijl gap right there. Now on ES, that would be the same case where if we sweep that previous week high, the line you're seeing right there is a previous week high. If we get some bearish price action, so for example, on the 4-hour Verwijl gap is lower right there, 1-hour Verwijl gap is lower, which we already have actually, to continue lower off of that could be quite interesting actually to target the daily Verwijl gap sitting below price action right there. Could be very interesting. And that is the same for NASDAQ right there. Could as well be the same for YM overall, where we also have that daily Verwijl gap sitting right there. For DAX, we are coming into the weekly Verwijl gap. Now, if the dollar wants to continue higher and the indices in general want to move lower, DAX will just follow. So DAX will likely, if that is the case with ES, NASDAQ, and the dollar, etc., then DAX will likely not respect this Verwijl gap right there and will continue a little bit lower. Then it can reach for the overlapping part potentially, because that is ideally already what I want to see DAX reach for, the overlapping part to continue higher off of that. Ideally, that could be quite nice as well. Australian dollar, US dollar, this is a consolidating pair right there, and it's just not that nice. Overall, I want to stay out of this, don't really want to do anything. If anything, again, it's the same premise as on the indices, where we might continue lower into that daily Verwijl gap right there. So for a short scalp, could potentially be nice. Then on EU. EU, we mentioned, and I do believe, did we come into the daily Verwijl gap? Or did we not? No, we did not come into the daily Verwijl gap. Now, currently, still consolidating, where it's just been consolidating this whole day. Then after that as well, we can still come into the daily Verwijl gap, but I'm still not expecting a higher price off that. I truly want to see what the dollar wants to do first. For GU, same thing, where I am not expecting higher prices for GU right there. Ideally, I want to see lower prices, and that is again, same premise where I want to see ideally higher prices on the dollar. If that happens, would be quite nice overall. But right here, I don't want to get involved on those longs. Also don't really want to take shorts right now. Want to wait a little bit longer for sure. Then New Zealand dollar, US dollar, wiki price action. I don't think I need to go over this right here because it's just extremely ugly right there. Don't want to do anything. USD Canadian dollar, daily Verwijl gap as well right there. But will we respect that daily Verwijl gap? Have we closed below that low? No, we've not closed below that low. We're still respecting those lows then actually. And we also, if we expect higher price on the dollar, or we could see that happen. Again, dollar is quite 50-50 in this moment in time. So if we expect 50-50 price action where we're not too sure on what the dollar wants to do, then this, if the dollar wants to continue higher, will just disrespect that daily 5 gap right there. So that's not something where I would want to look for short overall. But if we are continuing lower, then we are likely continuing lower off of that. USD CHF, same premise. Don't want to do anything right now. Still the same stance as what we talked about yesterday. US dollar JPY, same exact thing right here. Don't want to look for shorts just yet. And overall, I don't really want to do anything, to be honest, in the current market. So you'll hear me say that quite often, that I don't want to do anything right here, because I just, in this last 2 weeks of December, I just don't want to do anything. If I was not getting involved in the first 2 weeks of December, then I'm definitely not getting involved in the last 2 weeks of December. That's the way I view it. So be careful with that overall, I would argue. Then on silver, what do we see? On silver, potentially continuing higher as well. Again, waiting for that volatility which comes into the market overall on Wednesday. Now, let's say Tuesday already has a lot of volatility coming in all of a sudden. Then Wednesday can just follow through on Tuesday, of course. Then on gold, it's the same exact thing we're seeing right there, which we could definitely still see those sweeps right there and then continue higher off of that. Bitcoin right here. Again, if it creates that daily 5 gap already higher, I would say, all right, we are continuing higher already. But if we do not create that daily 5 gap higher, I would still want to wait for that weekly 5 gap to continue higher off of that. Then crude oil right here into the weekly fair value gap. Can we continue lower off of that? Could be quite interesting right there to see potentially lower prices. Let's wait for the right confirmation and let's see if we actually want to do that, of course, or if we want to wait for, again, the monthly fair value gap sitting right there. Then on Nifty just continuing higher. We still want to wait for that potential retracement, which again, I just don't want to chase price. So if anything, I just want to wait overall. Then if we go into the short list, which is very short, no pun intended again, Euro Canadian dollar right there. We are seeing the weekly value gap getting respected overall. Now, on the daily, we have this daily fair value gap sitting right there. Tomorrow, we also have Canadian dollar CPI. So Canadian dollar CPI can be, of course, quite volatile, can still be tradable if we have a nice setup before that. Overall, we still want to take into account, all right, what does it actually want to do right there with the daily fair value gap? If we get nice bearish price action, potentially on tomorrow, then even that Wednesday right there could still be tradable. So let's wait a little bit right there. And that's the same for New Zealand dollar JPY, where New Zealand dollar JPY is coming into that daily fair value gap. But currently, I just don't really like the price action here overall. The reason why I don't like it, let me explain it as well, is because we were close to both these drawn liquidities right there. So both targets we were very close to. Why did we stop at these lows to then all of a sudden continue higher? That signals to me that that is not high probability condition. It's not high probability price action. Otherwise, we would have already followed through lower. So in this case, I just simply don't like it right there. Then on CHF JPY, it's the same story and exactly the same story actually, where we did not take out those lows. So why did we not take out those lows? So if we get clear 4-hour value gaps lower for New Zealand dollar JPY, would just be to confirm order flow lower right there on the 4-hour. That would tell me, all right, let's then actually continue lower off of that, and then let's look for a trade ID. GBP Canadian dollar, we had this 4-hour value gap right there, and we do not have daily context or anything to continue lower just yet. If we get a new 4-hour value gap lower, then I would potentially look to get involved. Otherwise, I just want to wait. So currently, again, just a quick reminder, I'm currently not doing anything, especially in these last 2 weeks of December. Then I would rather wait for potential high probability conditions in January again. So that is my thought process. All right, perfect. Thank you.